everyone, it's Devi with doitlikedevi.com, a lifestyle blog on helping you to do more and save more, and hopefully more recently just to be there to help you commiserate and experience this long drawn out immigration journey with you, which has only gotten, of course, more complicated by the whole pandemic situation, as I'm sure you know. So in this video, I just want to go ahead and give you an update on where we're at in our processing in our case, and then to just kind of share with you other information that I've found with other people's timelines on the internet. And you know how I went down that rabbit hole multiple times, just trying to harvest any kind of information that I could get, because I like answers and information, and it makes me feel better when there's just so many moving parts and variables and unanswered questions. So hopefully I can provide a little bit of that, and again, giving you the update on where I'm at. An obligatory mention, if you could please like or comment, subscribe, ask questions in the comments if you have any questions, and maybe other people can hop on and answer if they all happen to know the answer. Just that way it kind of filters into the right searches, and we can get information out to anyone that this might pertain to and help them. And special shout out to all the channel members that have been answering questions for other people and also encouraging me and encouraging others. Thank you so much. There was one day where I just was in a total rut, and a lot of your comments helped me out so much, and I really appreciate it. That's what I love about the immigration community. Most of us are so supportive and encouraging when we need it, minus a few sassy ones that I ran into on some of the Facebook groups and Visa Journey. You know, if you are that kind of person and you disagree with something you've read, or you don't agree with the information that you've seen, just say it nicely, because I think we're all just very sensitive during this time. So a lot of your tone reads the wrong way. So just be mindful of it, encourage each other. That's all we can do right now. Okay, so update on our case. We are stuck at the NVC. I submitted documents on February 28th of this year, and I was waiting for 10 and a half weeks before I received messages from CEAC. Well, first they email you to your email address that you have on file in CEAC, letting you know that you have some pending messages in your inbox. So you log in, and then I was told that the birth certificate that my husband and I had submitted for him was rejected as a document. Even though, so we had a copy of the birth certificate, wasn't an original copy. It was a scanned copy versus a scanned original. But anyways, even with the translation, that copy, and then just doing a brief explanation of why we don't have the original, it was rejected. So we're in the middle of trying to get the original now. So sometimes they don't accept it. I've seen a lot of cases where you explain to them and then they're still fine as long as you're bringing the original to the interview. Didn't work for us, sadly. So just be mindful of that. Anytime obviously that you can get the original, do it. But just a forewarning, sometimes even if you put the cover letter in on that same document of the translation, the copy, blah blah, and you put a little note, it doesn't always work, which happened in our case. So that was really shitty. I of course had a meltdown, and it was just bad timing because my husband had just gone back overseas, and he was with me for a month and a half. He had just come in right when Trump put the whole travel ban on the EU, the UK, and so he was able to stay with me, and he came in on the ESTA. He traveled with our marriage certificate and a copy of my US passport, just to establish, one, our relationship, and two, my citizenship. And so that's how he was able to get on board. So for ESTA visa countries, it's still possible, but just make sure that you're not presenting yourself as wanting to skip the line and immigrate ahead of time. He's come into the country before and left way before the tourist visa of 90 days was up. So I think that kind of ensures that that's been his pattern. He's not just gonna try to falsely stay. And we are stuck at the NVC waiting for documents to be qualified. Hopefully with this newly submitted copy, they can actually accept it this time, fingers crossed. And then I joined another NVC group on Facebook, And here's what I've learned. One, that it is kind of a Pandora's box because, I mean, you do get a lot of information, but a lot of times you're seeing people that like submitted way after you get approved, you know, and you're just so jealous. You're happy for them because you know how much it took, but you're jealous. So that's me. It turns out though that submitting or resubmitting documents is very, very common. So if you happen to be in the same boat as me, where you're waiting on a document to be approved, like all the rest of the documents are approved and you're waiting on like maybe one or two, it happens quite a bit. And once I joined that NVC specific group, I realized that. So not that it makes the waiting any better, but at least, you know, there's more people also in it together with you and you're not the only one. So after the resubmission, a lot of people have reported that the second time or even subsequent third, fourth time was quicker. But again, every case has been so different that I don't even think I've been able to like plot out points and see like a trend or an average. It's just been like all over the map. And even recently with like, you know, this is mid-May as I'm recording this, it's just been all over the map. So if any of you watching happen to know what their process is, or maybe someone undercover is working for the NVC in here and listening, please tell us, because it is really not clear and we need to know, you know? And one of my watchers, thank you so much, Wesley, I hope you don't mind that I'm shouting you out, but it did make sense what you said about how ever since that Trump travel ban, that maybe certain visa categories are going quicker, or it's affected the processing of certain cases and the timelines of others. Because like, for example, if you have multiple beneficiaries or applicants that you've petitioned for, some are going quicker than others within your own family, and that could just be due to maybe like the travel bans that are occurring at the moment. Again, no one's completely sure because the NVC does not put that on their website. So okay, so more for what I've seen recently. At the time of the whole coronavirus explosion, you know, right around mid-March and everything, when the travel bans ensued and we all started to work from home, blah, blah, the USCIS was processing at lightning fast speeds. You know, that's when we started to see like the January, February priority dates get, you know, approved by like end of April. And in comparison, the NVC seemed to be moving so slowly. I'm not sure exactly if that is the case, but because I hadn't yet joined that NVC Facebook group. But from what I was seeing in the other groups, like the I-130 and the IOE groups, there wasn't so much movement at the NVC. Now around mid-May, or ever since I joined the NVC group, it just seems or appears that the NVC has picked up momentum again, but the whole first in, first out concept of processing does not seem to be the case here. It kind of just seems like one random lottery with some lucky people and some unlucky ones. And what I mean by that is like this past 2 weeks alone, I've seen people get DQ'd after submitting less than a week ago, 2 hours ago, 2 days ago. And this even happened across resubmissions or like first time submissions, but people were getting their DQ within, you know, say a week, and while others had been waiting since March. And you know, for my timeline, submitted February 28th, didn't even hear back on my first round until May 11th. So 10.5 weeks versus 5 days, go figure. And when I was tracking data and like asking people, oh great, what embassy are you processing through? You know, it was a mixed bag, but a lot from Africa and the Middle East that I've seen, like Ghana, Lagos, Islamabad. So, you know, I'm no expert on the embassies and what they're doing, but these ones in Africa and the Middle East are just, I mean, their approvals are pumping. I don't know if the NVC looks at the embassy or like, again, I don't know their process, if they're like routing out and having certain designated people per embassy at the NVC. I don't know what's going on over there. So to reiterate and drive that point home, not that I haven't said it enough, but there hasn't been one solid process of processing times that I've seen. It's been all over the map as far as when people submit and get the DQ. And I was, again, looking every Monday like a maniac at the NVC timeframes, posting and refreshing the screen, because sometimes it would be later in the day for me. But Again, just so you know, if you're looking at those NVC timeframes on Mondays as well, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not processing cases afterwards, because clearly they are. I think it just means like whatever date that you've seen last is like when they've completely cleared out the queue. So like say NVC is processing cases from February 28th. That just means like everything prior has probably cleared the queue, and then they're doing anything from February 28th to today. Next, burning questions. When are these embassies opening? So I'm processing through London, and if you are too, please comment below so we can, share information with each other. I had seen and talked to one couple on Visa Journey, and they're doing direct consular filing through London. They were able to get their appointment already for July, sometime in July, because the embassy apparently started opening up this past week, their appointment times starting July 6th. So as of now, end of May, appointments for at least London are starting to be scheduled, not yet with any kind of cancellations. USCIS has confirmed that they're going back so far on June 4th. And then this one attorney that I was commenting on her video had said that her clients, one of them has an appointment starting the first week of June at their embassy in Vienna. So embassies are starting to reopen here and there. Some have apparently never shut down. I think I read South Korea and then maybe like Taiwan. Something. Some of them haven't closed. And then I started a thread on Visa Journey to ask if people are getting their interviews in June and July, and I can link in the description below so you can link to that thread to read. But some people are getting interviews for June, July, so that just means their embassies are opening up. Then I've also seen in the Facebook groups where someone that had an interview scheduled in March has now been rescheduled as a set date for September. So that's like a 6-month waiting period. Not sure how backlogged each embassy will be. I'm guessing it just depends on how much traffic and cases they get. The good news is that people are starting to get their interviews soon. For any additional tidbits that I can share at the moment, the NVC phone line has been really good recently. I think maybe less people are calling with the whole pandemic situation, because I was able to get through on the first time. Usually you have to keep calling because you get the automated system that hangs you up after a minute. So I still had to wait a long time for a rep to actually get on the phone, but the point is I was getting connected to the queue on hold to get to that rep. And some embassies are apparently still processing expedite requests. I believe the Philippines in Manila is still doing it. London is not. So if you're trying to expedite from London, at least the NVC emails you back and says they're not even routing to London at this point because London is closed, even though London is open. I mean, people are getting interviews for June, July, so I don't really know what they're defining as opened, closed, because I do believe even though no in-person interviews are currently happening at the moment, there are still people probably showing up to the embassy to work for just clerical items or processing. So don't really know on that. What I do know is that I will continue to update you as our case progresses and as we go along, constantly rooting for all of you guys, hoping you stay safe, hoping that you reunite with your family members soon. Hope the economic hardship isn't too crazy for you out there. And if you could please like, comment, subscribe, share, that would be so much appreciated. If you want to hop in on some questions or answers down in the comments below, that's great too. That would be so appreciated by me, and I'm sure by many people here that are watching. And let me know if there's another video or topic that I should be addressing. Happy to do that too. So wishing you guys all the best and talk to you guys soon.